Welcome to the podcast. I'm Mike Peterson, along with my co-host, my wonderful wife, Shelley Peterson.
Hello?
She's just such a bundle of happiness today.
I sure am.
This evening we're going to talk about something that's a little bit different, meditation. And we both had different experiences where meditation is concerned. And for a lot of people, meditation is when you take the time and you either sit in a particular pose or position, or you just sit and you close your eyes, and it's for a couple of different reasons. You can meditate simply to calm yourself and to center your mind and your being. You can meditate for insight and information. You can meditate for guidance or to be shown different things. Now, I'm curious. I'm always curious, but in this particular sense, you and your dad used to meditate together quite often when you were younger.
Yes.
To what extent, or why did you do it?
My father did it more for insight. I personally did it more for centering myself, even though I was young. You know, I'm young. I don't have stresses. I don't have things to worry about. You know, I'm going to school. All I need to worry about is my schoolwork.
Okay, how old were you when you and your dad used to meditate?
Well, the first time that I meditated with him, I was 12 years old. And this was when we lived in Cortland. And there was a room. The house had a beautiful room down in the basement, and it was, I don't know, I can't describe it. Believe it or not, what it felt like to me was a cave.
Really?
Yes, it felt like a cave, but it wasn't a dark, gloomy kind of cave, but that's just what it reminded me of, was a cave that just had this energy feeling. And that's what my dad chose to set up as kind of his reading room, meditation room, all kind of into one.
Mm-hmm. Where he would do most of his metaphysical work.
Yes, yes. And, you know, when we meditated, he would put up his, you know, meditation trumpets, and we would always sit Indian style. And when I would meditate, it was, for me, it was a wonderful feeling, because I'm not saying it's because it's not an out-of-body experience, but I was so relaxed that I felt so light, and I just felt free. It was a wonderful feeling.
Did you have music playing in the background, or?
Yes, yes. Believe it or not, what my father enjoyed, and I actually enjoyed it from a young age because I heard it even before I was 12. I want to say I was 9 years old the first time I ever heard it. Zamfir.
Really?
I don't know if you've ever heard of Zamfir.
Yes, and his pan flute.
Yes, that I absolutely love. And he used to play
A certain selection of...
a certain selection of Zamfir's music, or his flute playing, pan flute playing. Because then after that, every time that we would meditate, when I went to bed, believe it or not, I always chose to have my boombox, pretty much, at that age, beside my bed, well, with those famous cassette players. And I had, I don't know how many cassettes of nothing but water, ocean, wind.
Really?
Yeah, and I would play that after I meditated when I went to bed, and it relaxed me even more, and it kept me more focused. Because at that time we were going through a lot with my grandmother. I was taking care of my grandmother a lot at a young age. But what my dad never really talked to me about what he did or what he meditated on so much, besides just wanting to know things or feel things. But he never told me about what? You know, that's his business. That's him.
Did he ever give you any kind of instruction as to this is how you meditate
No, because
or how
everybody's
to?
different. Believe it or not, the first meditation that I ever saw was with my Aunt Mickey. And
Okay.
everybody is different in how they meditate. But when you're, not everybody needs to sit the same way. Not everybody needs to focus on the same thing. So it was all different. So my dad never gave me a kind of a manual for you need to do it this way. And this is the way that you do it. No, I chose my own way on how I meditated.
When you started, and before I relate some of the things that, see, I didn't get into meditation until, oh Lord, after I met Richard, really. So backtrack 30 years,
Yeah.
and that's about when that started. Did you find that there was a specific way that worked better for you to meditate? As in, you had a routine. This is what you did. This is step 1, 2, 3, 4. In your own mind. Not that it was written down, and not that it had to be exact like that all the time. But did you find that it was a process for you that worked best?
Yes, I had a process. My father was never big on it, but I was. But along with the meditation trumpets that he put in the room, I also loved to burn incense. Now, many times that I meditated, I chose between many different incense because I love to burn incense. And I found that the only relaxation incense that I could handle was sandalwood.
Really?
And that's what I would always use. My dad chose not to use any, but I mean, he was still in there with me, and but I found I did so many different ones, and sandalwood was the only one that I found, I guess, that would keep me centered during the meditation.
All right, I'm going to ask because I find this maybe just particular to me. Did you ever have a tendency to start to nod off or fall asleep while you were meditating?
Yes.
Really?
Oh, yes. So relaxed. Yes. I could have slept for, here again, I'm a teenager. I'm a kid. Sleeping at that time was my life. If I'm not in school, if I'm not out with my friends, or if I'm not doing chores, I'm sleeping. Okay, typically, teenagers do a lot of that and stuff. So when I'm 12 years old, I could have slept for 14 hours, but I could be in there for 5 minutes and start to nod off. Yes.
Was there any particular something happened or something that you learned or something that you saw that sticks out in your mind about that time when you used to meditate?
Oh, when I used to meditate, the one thing that happened to me every time I meditated after my Aunt Mickey passed, because I meditated even more after that,
Why?
is she would come and see me. My grandmother was the same way. She would come and see me. But my Aunt Mickey was even more. And even... and what's funny is even when my Aunt Mickey was alive, she still was there with me. Even though she wasn't personally in the room with us, she was there with us. Because my dad also saw her. Also, felt her. I can't say saw her because she hadn't passed. She was still around and everything. But
Did you ever talk to your aunt after the fact, and tell her I was meditating? And
oh, yes.
did
And
she relate anything that would tell you she was actually there, what you were wearing?
yes.
See, because there are many times we've spoken about your Aunt Mickey, that she's a wonderful lady, an excellent reader, an intuitive, just a fantastic lady all the way around. So I was curious if she ever related that she saw you,
Yes.
or she would call you and say, "Hey."
Yes. Yes, she did. Not every time, but yes, she did. Yes. She would talk to both me and my father, whoever answered the phone if she was calling,
Mm-hmm.
because we were in Ohio, she was in PA. So any time that she would call, whoever answered the phone, I mean, my mom and whoever was closest, okay, I'll talk to that person first and then give the phone to the next person. And yes.
So what was it that you would say, or what particular something sticks out in your mind while
Well,
you were meditating that you remember, like, oh my God, a moment that blew you away, gave you information that just knocked your socks off, or showed you something. You say you did a lot for centering, and
mm-hmm,
your dad would do it more for information, insight, and whatnot.
mm-hmm.
But was there ever anything that happened to you that you can remember and relate while you were meditating?
Oh, I can't. This has been so many. You're talking 35 years ago.
I know.
And I'll be honest with you.
Jog that brain there, honey.
I know, I know. You would have to give me some more time to think about that because I mean, I can see it as plain as day sitting in that room, in that house, and meditating. But there was so much. There was so much that was there. There was so much that went on.
Now, how much of this from more the aspect when you went to church, did they talk about meditation in your church life, your theological side of life?
No,
Okay.
no.
Because I know that the church that you went to was an open and non-denominational church, and I know that they talked about metaphysics and spirituality and a lot of things. So I didn't know what they might have covered or what they ever really spoke about. Yeah, I'll give you a few minutes to think or to try to think of something that might have. But there was an evening that I was just sitting and meditating, and I literally, and you folks, you got to be careful what you ask for because most of the time they'll get it. I wanted to know something that I had not thought of or that was just so different. Show me something I don't know. And all of a sudden, it was from a starting point of understanding what like a large boulder is. But it progressed as I meditated to almost like becoming that stone. And then I had the awareness of time, the way that a boulder might, the awareness of surroundings, the way that a boulder might, the awareness of what really was more important, and a connectedness to all of your surroundings, to all of the earth, to all of nature, metaphysics, big time, like Metaphysics 101.
Yes.
So when and I'm sitting here with fingers going parenthetical, when I woke up, about an hour and a half later, I was still sitting, and I was sore from sitting Indian style for so long. But my perception of life and how things were just wasn't the same after that because I had an understanding that I truly did not have 2 hours prior. Okay? I
Mm-hmm.
look at life and again go back 30 years, 27, what, 30 years. And back then I was worried, you make the house payment, you make the car payment, you make this payment, you've got this to do, you've got your job, and you've got to be on time for work. And all of that changed for me because I had a different perception of something that was in the world. And anytime after that I've gone by and I see these big boulders on the side of the road, or you
Mm-hmm.
see a big boulder somewhere, it draws my memory to that because I learned something new. So when we look at meditation, if you were to tell someone basics, what might you tell them? And I'm interested again because female versus male, our perspectives are different on how we meditate or what we might do. If somebody were just beginning, what might you tell them? A couple of things to say, you might want to try this, or you might want to do this, or
You mean on what to do before meditating?
before meditating,
During?
during.
Okay.
Does it work? Did it work for you?
It worked very well for me. Me personally, I guess for beginners and somebody that wants to start meditating, quiet place, a quiet room. And I mean a quiet room, dark. No lights on. Just let it be dark. Burn an incense if that's what you choose. A candle, even. Certain kind of candle. Relax. And just. Yeah, I mean, I understand sometimes people would say that it's easier said than done, but when you meditate, me personally, you need to just free your mind. You need to blank it. You need to just nothing up there. Just take some deep breaths, close your eyes, and just clear your mind.
And I used to do that and stand in something like a snowy field, not
Mm.
cold, just white.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually harder than what a lot of people might think. When you say, don't think of anything.
I know that. That's like I said, it's easier said than done. A lot of people will say that. Well, that's easier said than done. I understand that, because for me, and even now, when there's times that I just sit at my computer and just sit in the chair, even though I have something on my screen and there's noise, whether it be music, anything, I close my eyes, and believe it or not, when I can clear my mind, it takes me back to the feeling that I had when I was in that room meditating. It's like a cave. I understand that not everybody, no, but, and I'm just referencing it, but Walker, Texas Ranger, with Chuck Norris. There's an episode where he's in a cave with Indians, with the Indians, and they have the headdresses on, and everything, and he closes his eyes, and it's just freeing. He's letting his mind go to where it needs to go, but that's exactly how I feel. That's exactly where I'm at when I do that.
Now, here again, you meditate for centering yourself,
Yes.
to clear your mind, for peace of body and soul. To where I meditate for insight or to learn something, or I've asked questions and I have a desire because I need to know something.
Yeah, I know. That's why I let you do all that hard work.
And at least I don't fall asleep while I'm doing it. Come on.
No, not yet, but
One day,
one day that will happen.
someday she'll say, Michael, are you meditating? And all she's going to hear is,
That's right.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
But it's the difference between how you used to meditate and how I meditate
Yes.
versus other people. There are CDs and Lord knows what out there on how to meditate. But I believe you hit it right off the bat saying everybody meditates differently.
Yes. To
Well, when I
me,
would
there
do-
is no manual on a right way and a wrong way to meditate.
No.
No, there is none. So everybody is different.
The only thing that I would tell people is before you begin to meditate, have an objective.
Yes.
You know, it's good to sit down and clear your mind. If that's all you're going to do, then just set a timer, set a buzzer, set something, and give yourself a set period of time because you don't want to be meditating on clearing your mind for 3 hours,
No.
you know,
Unless you fall asleep.
and that's a whole different
And
story.
that can, yeah.
But have an objective. If you're searching for information or to connect with your higher self or to connect with your spirit guides, when you start to meditate and you clear your mind and you're in that space, ask your question. Don't ask for a manual. Don't sit there and say, I've got a litany of 35 things that I want to know and I want to know right now. Don't do that.
No.
One thing only. And be open to what you see
Yeah.
or hear or feel. Because things aren't good. You may not have a spirit guide that comes up and looks like a movie, comes in and goes, hey, Mike, how you doing? It's been a long time since this. They're not going to be an embodiment all the time.
No.
It's just like your Aunt Mickey was there, but she may not have spoken very often, but she was present.
Yes.
But you had a very specific feeling when she was there. So that feeling gave you information or gave you something that you needed.
Yes.
You know, so when people are meditating, take the time before you start, be cognizant of what you are going to focus on.
Yes. Yes. That is the main thing. And yes, I did completely skim over that and completely forgot about that. But yes, when you do start meditating, for me, and it was the same way back when I was a teenager and back when I was young and doing this, yes, you need to be, before you ever even start, you need to be focused on why you're doing it, what you're doing it for. Yes, that would be the very number one thing to do.
And
Yes.
because we do it often enough, even now, we don't think about it because we are conditioned ourselves to say, okay, here's my routine, blah, 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 and off we go.
Yes.
That when we stop to talk to people about it, we often forget a piece of something essential. That's why
Yes.
I love having these conversations because we can say, hey, and people might relate more to a way that you used to meditate versus the way that I meditate,
Yes.
you know, to clear their mind and to get a piece of insight.
Yes.
That's a wonderful thing. I'm more of a heavy duty, guys. Here's my question, and by God, I want some answers. But that's me personally, folks. Let's say that I am confrontational. I learn things by argumentation.
Tell me it ain't so.
So I argue with my spirit guides at times, and sometimes they bring out the racket and they'll whack me with it and say, "Hey, Michael, you're not paying attention," or whatever. And you always seem to know when I've had one of those conversations. I come back and I just look at you and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
had a good time there, did you?"
Yep. Yes.
How long would you tell somebody to meditate? Two things that are thinking that go right along with that. It's not that you're going to start and find meditation easy. You're not going to drop off into meditation land in 2.5 minutes. It takes time and repetition to clear your mind. But at the same time, did you ever find yourself stopping a meditation because you could not reach a certain point?
Yes.
How long did you allow yourself of time to do that?
Before I would stop it?
Yes.
Well, I should say we, because my dad and we meditated so much together that I believe that him and I we were
connected.
just connected enough that we
Sure.
knew, okay, one of us is not, and usually it was both of us that it just wasn't happening. But believe it or not, no, it's not something, meditation is not something that you go into in 2 to 3 minutes. But if you're not in that frame of mind within 15 minutes, I'm done.
Yeah, stop beating a horse.
Yeah, I'm done. Okay, let's stop this and collect ourselves, go do something else, and
Come back and try it again later.
yeah, we would never do it later in the same day though.
Really?
Yes, we would usually wait at least 2 days. It just was one of those where it just wasn't happening, so we're not going to try it again in the same day.
Oh.
If it's not happening, to me, 4, 5, 6 hours later is not going to make a difference.
Okay.
At least it never did with me. We tried that once, but it still didn't work. So usually it was within the next couple of days that we would, not saying that we meditated every day, but yeah, we meditated. There were times where, I mean, my dad meditated a little bit more than I did because I was only meditating maybe twice a week. Only because it just felt so nice and just so freeing and wonderful to let everything go. Here again, I understand I was young. It's not like I had kids and was, having to take care
You're
of.
just a teenager.
Yeah, a house, a car, okay. But it was just still so nice. So for me, I only did it. And my dad, he would do it up to about 4, 5 times a week.
I can see your dad doing
Yes,
that.
yeah, yes. So I didn't need it that much. Here again, I'm 12, 13, 14 years old, so
How long did you meditate for?
45 minutes.
Really?
45 minutes.
And I'll bet you that time went by so quick.
It did. And a couple of times where I might have dozed off, I was in there maybe for about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. So not like a whole long time over the 15 minutes, but, I was relaxed enough, doze off for 15, 20 minutes. And next thing you know, I've been in there for an hour and 15 minutes.
Your dad brought his meditation cones over here. And I've got
Yes.
them sitting up on the top shelf over here. Did you, in your more recent years, I want to say later years, but you're not really that old, but in more recent years, did you and your dad ever talk about times that you used to meditate together?
No.
Or is that just kind of, it happened then and...
It happened then because things have changed so much with my dad.
I agree.
Not between my dad and I, but you understand what I'm saying. But
His outlook on some things
yes,
have changed.
Yes.
And his desire to do certain things have changed. And he's gotten older. He's how old now?
74.
So it's been a period of time. And how long ago did your Aunt Mickey pass?
Oh.
I want to say when Alex was like 3, I think.
Yeah, and he's 27.
Yeah, so 24 years ago.
Yeah, almost 25 years ago.
So things have changed in this amount of time. And there's nothing wrong with Shelley's dad, trust me. It's just, everybody goes through cycles of things in their life.
Yes.
Fantastic. So people, if you have a desire that you want to clear your mind, or that you're looking for some minor insights, or that you just want to have a little bit of a different experience, go online, take a look at meditating. Go to YouTube, and there's, I'm sure, tons of videos about meditating. And possibly step into something different in life.
Yes.
Well, folks, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon, this evening. We will catch up with you again next time. Until then, take care.
Take care.